everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ishani and today I wanted to talk to you about hair removal. Basically sharing my experiences from when I first started using hair removal, where I am now, and all the experiences in between. As you can see, I have a lot of thick hair on my head, which basically means I have a lot of thick hair all over my body. And I've tried a ton of different types of hair removal methods, and they all have different pros and cons depending on which part of the body you use it on. So I hope by sharing my experiences, you could learn something, and if I'm doing something wrong, it would be great if you could tell me about it, and maybe I could learn something new from you guys. So starting from the beginning of my journey, I was about 12 years old and was going into high school. I essentially grew a mustache. I had really thick hair up here and it was really obvious and dark, and as you can imagine, kids are mean. I got teased about it a lot, and if I'm honest, I just became really self-conscious and hated the way I looked, and it was made to feel really ugly. After some time of being teased, I decided, okay, enough's enough. I'm just gonna, I want people to stop teasing me. I'm gonna go and shave it off. And as you can imagine, just going from being hairy all up in here and coming in the next day with a clean shave, it was really obvious that I was completely gone, and I got teased about it some more. So that wasn't good, and that basically set me up for a love-hate relationship with hair removal. I mean, on one hand, of course, I love the way it looks when I don't have any hair, especially on my face. I think makeup looks beautiful on top of a hairless face, but at the same time I feel really defiant. Well, why do I have to remove every single strand of hair on my body except for my hair and my eyebrows? It's just really annoying. It's very natural, and I just don't get the big deal with everyone wanting to be hairless all the time. I have a friend who just thinks it's outrageous to have hair on your arms. She just thinks hairy arms are gross. And I think, well, no, why? I mean, why is it offensive to have hair on your arms? It's not a big deal. For me personally, I do have hairy arms. I can't be bothered most of the time to remove it. I just feel it's such a faff. And if you think about the size of your body, it's a lot of surface area to get rid of every single hair. So yeah, with my arms, for the most part of the year, I have a lot of hair on it, unless I'm going on holiday, or if I'm wearing a really nice sleeveless dress or something, then I'll maybe think about removing the hair. But for the most part, I'm very laid back, I think, with how much hair I remove. So after the shaving debacle, I moved on to hair removal cream. Now, if you don't know what hair removal cream is, it's basically a thick cream which you put onto the unwanted hairs and you leave it on for a period of time. The instructions from the company you bought it from, or the brand that you've bought it from, will tell you how long you're, the maximum amount of time you're meant to leave on the hair removal cream. So usually what happens is you have to leave it on for about 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. You do a little test patch, see if the hairs have come off. If they have come off, then great, you just wash it all away. If not, then you leave it on for the maximum amount of time, which I think is about 8 minutes. So I've used hair removal cream a few times, but what I was finding is I'd leave it on for the maximum amount of time, and I just wasn't getting that smooth finish that I wanted. I just felt there was still a few stray hairs here and there that just weren't getting rid of, and I don't know, I just didn't like the effect that I was getting with it. So I thought, this is why I'm really scared about using hair removal cream. It's completely my fault, but I left it on. I thought it'd be smart. I'd left it on longer than the 8 minutes recommended, maybe 10 to 11 minutes, and I basically burned my face, which was disgusting. I basically had a dark, scabby, horrible patch right there, and it was really noticeable. It's not something that you would think, oh, it's just me and no one else is gonna notice. I went to a family barbecue and my uncle was like, oh, you've got some ketchup there, and I was like, and as a 12 or 15-year-old, or somewhere in between that age, you can imagine that was really cringe, and I just felt so self-conscious about it. So that really put me off hair removal cream, and I think it's great if it works for you. Maybe if you've got finer hair, or finer, fairer hair, maybe it would work a lot better for you, but for me personally, it didn't. What I can just recommend is follow the instructions to a T, and make sure you do a patch test, because you really don't want to be burning yourself and having ketchup looking marks on your face. One thing I forgot to mention is the results of hair removal cream on me lasted about 2 weeks, which I think is pretty decent if you are going to go down that route. Depending of course on your hair growth, maybe you could get 3 weeks out of it, but I think 2 weeks is pretty decent. Okay, so next I wanted to talk about bleaching. I feel like bleaching might be a bit of an old school way of dealing with unwanted hair. I just feel like the trend these days is to remove unwanted hair rather than like keep it there and lighten it, which is essentially what bleaching is. If you've not used it before, you basically get an accelerated powder and a cream bleach, and then you mix it together. It's kind of like a little science experiment, and you put the paste on your face and you leave it for about, I think, 10 minutes. It's been a really long time since I've bleached, so definitely read the instructions again and do a patch test before. But essentially you're lightening the hairs on your face. I thought it was a really good solution for like peach fuzz. So peach fuzz is sort of the areas like on my cheeks and almost going up into my sideburns. I tried to avoid as much as possible long, thick, dark hairs, just because they would usually go yellow rather than like white, as my, like the peach fuzz hairs I felt like went whiter, whereas like really pigmented hairs went like yellow. And it would be really obvious if you're in the sun and like turning towards the sun, and yeah, it's like super obvious if you've bleached, especially on if you've got darker skin tone like myself. It would be really obvious if you've done it on long, thick or dark hairs. So I definitely think it is a good solution. It's something you can't use, or you can use it all over your body and face. I don't think you'd necessarily want to have blonde or like yellow leg hairs, but you can use it everywhere except for the intimate areas. But yeah, I do think it's a good solution and something worth trying if you don't want to remove the hairs on your face. When I bleached, I found the results on me lasted about 4 weeks, which I think is brilliant considering it takes 10 minutes to do your whole face. 4 weeks is a really good like outcome for any product, I think. I did it again. I forgot to mention how long the results last for with bleaching. For me, it lasted about 4 weeks, which I think is a brilliant result considering it takes about 10 minutes to do your whole face. So it's definitely a solution worth like looking into. Next, I wanted to move on to waxing. I feel like this is probably a really common way of removing hair, and I know a few people who are like die-hard for waxing and would never dream of like shaving their legs or anything. So I guess it just depends on what you're used to. So you can get hot or cold wax. Hot wax generally spreads across the skin a lot more easily because it's quite liquidy, and you remove it with a cloth or a strip. Cold wax is generally found in pre-made wax strips. If you've ever tried one, they're basically 2 strips stuck together, and you like heat it up between your hands and you place it on the area you want to remove the hair from. I personally found that using pre-made wax strips, you had to work on an area like quite a few times, whereas I found the like hot waxing was a lot more effective. Like you could go over one area and then get it removed like very quickly. Personally, I don't like doing my waxing myself. I get very lazy, and if I find like random bits of hair, I'll just shave it rather than wax it again like later, like if I find it later. So yeah, I'm just totally lazy with waxing. The great thing about waxing is you can use it all over your face and body. I personally did wax my face a couple of times, but one of the times I just broke out completely and got really bad cystic acne. I wouldn't say I have acne prone skin, but it really, like, it was like a massive eruption. So if you have acne prone skin or sensitive skin, just be really careful with it. The other thing I'm not so keen about waxing on your face is I feel like it messes up with the elasticity on your face, or it would do if you continuously do it. So more wrinkles. I mean, this is just my feeling of like the fact that you're pulling and being so aggressive with your skin. I would personally just steer clear from it. My absolute favorite type of waxing is sugaring. Sugaring originated, I believe, in ancient Egypt, but if I'm wrong, please correct me. And it's basically a solution of sugar, lemon juice, and water. In some places you can find they mix a bit of wax in as well. If you've not tried sugaring before, I'd definitely give it a go. I personally love it for the intimate areas, as it's reduced the amount of ingrown hairs I've had, as well as the amount of time the effects last for me about 4 weeks before I have to go again. 4 to 5 weeks actually, which is like an amazing amount of time. I feel the hairs have come out finer, and the last thing is it's not as painful as waxing. I find it a lot more comfortable. Of course there's going to be like some areas which is just like horrible to do, but overall as a whole experience I do find it a lot better than traditional waxing. Next I want to move on to threading. Threading is my absolute favorite way to get my eyebrows shaped. I feel like it's really good at getting into the really fine hairs that you get around your eyebrow, giving it like really good definition. If you've never come across threading, it's basically removing hairs by plucking using cotton thread. I'll link some videos down below which have some great tutorials of how you can do it yourself. I personally, if you are going to try and do it yourself, would start off with the upper lip because it doesn't really matter in terms of shape, whereas if you start messing about with the eyebrows, you don't want to ruin them, especially if you're new to threading. I personally used to thread my upper lip myself and would go to somebody to get my eyebrows done. And once you find like a good eyebrow lady or man, just keep going to them because they'll know your face, they'll know what works for you, and they'll take the time to just make sure that then you're not going like excessively thin or too thick. Like it has to be proportional to your face. For my eyebrows, I need to get it done every 2 to 3 weeks because my eyebrow hairs just grow like crazy. Like if I don't get it done, like I just have a unibrow, which is the complete opposite to my mum, who could basically go without threading or doing her eyebrows for about 3 months. So if you've got finer hairs, you could probably go like once a month or once every couple of months. Next, I wanted to move on to shaving, which I'm pretty sure everyone's tried at least once in their life. If you haven't, it's basically using a razor blade to cut the hairs down to the level of the skin. The great thing about shaving is you can use it all over your body and face. As I mentioned before, I had shaved off my mustache, so that was my introduction to like face shaving. But the problem is with shaving, as I'm sure everybody knows, like within a day or two, depending on your hair growth, you're stubbly and like it can be quite itchy. I always hate it when I've been really unorganized and not been able to book in for a waxing appointment before a holiday, and I have to like shave my bikini area and intimate area, and it just grows back so itchy and like becomes just really uncomfortable. So I always try my best to like book in for a wax. Because I've started to laser, I have to shave everywhere on my body, or everywhere that I plan to use the laser, which I'm still going to go for sugaring for like bikini intimate areas, so I haven't been shaving there. But for everywhere else, I pretty much shave. That includes my face, and I have been using these eyebrow razor blades, which are basically these, and which you can get from Amazon. I think it was about 8 or 10 pounds for 3 blades, which I think is really good. But I love these blades because they're just really easy to get precise, like for your sideburns, to be able to measure it up, whereas I feel like a normal like body razor blade is just like too wide for me to like be able to go in detail to the areas I want to customize, I guess. I feel like with a normal razor, you're just doing like a big strip. Okay, so shaving now leads me on to IPL, or intense pulsed laser. A few years ago, I used to go to IPL and get it done professionally. I personally gave up on it after maybe 4 or 5 sessions. I didn't continue to go. Firstly, because I'm a commitment phobe. I hate having to make the time to go to the salon and like then spend that time there, and it was just really inconvenient for me to like consistently do and make sure that I was there for each appointment. Also, I found it really painful. Like, I might be just a little baby, but because my hairs are quite thick and dark, they use like, I guess, a higher intensity setting, but I just found it really painful, and maybe not so much painful, but the shock of someone like zapping you with something. I personally just didn't really like it at all. I'm probably just a big baby about it, but in terms of the actual results, I found that I was getting good results with it. Because I didn't end up going back to the salon to complete my sessions for IPL, I ended up having a lot of regrowth. It did take some time to like grow back again, but I did have regrowth, and it led me to buy the Philips Lumiere, which is a really cool like gadget. I really like it. I'm not someone who's like massively into gadgets, but I thought this was pretty cool. It looks really nice and pretty and girly, but it's basically an at-home IPL machine. What I like about it firstly is that I don't have to schedule time to go and sit in a salon and have someone zap me with a laser. I mean, it's not her fault. I could have just asked her to tell me like, hey, I'm gonna zap you now, but it's just something that I don't like. I don't like someone doing it to me, but I can do it myself because I know that I'm controlling it. It might just be a really weird, like a weird thing, but anyway, so the way the machine actually works is if I switch it on, it has this, so you can hear it like basically like it's got, I think, a little fan in there. You have different settings, so you've got 1 to 5, and these this is basically showing you the intensity of the laser that it will inflict on you. And you also have this little magnifying glass, which is that there, which basically helps you detect what is the best setting for your skin. So I'm just doing it now. It tells me that level 4 is the best setting for me. So I click the tick button and that basically means it's good to go. My absolute favorite thing about the Lumiere is that I can do it at home and I don't have to faff around going to a salon and have someone zap me with a laser. You can use it basically everywhere on your body, bikini line as well, but not the intimate areas. I definitely noticed my hair has like been growing back really slowly, which is what I really want. Like I'm not so fussed about it being permanently like removed. Maybe someday it'll be cool to have like hairy body. So the Philips Lumiere comes with 4 different attachments. The one I have in here at the moment is basically a face, but you get one for underarms, body, and a general one as well. The different attachments have different exposures of the laser to your face. So I think on your face it's a lot less because it's more sensitive. It's definitely worth trying out. I'm not sure if they do like a money back guarantee to see how it goes for you. Probably not. It is expensive. It's roughly £350, but I did think if I was going to like, you know, laser hair removal, I could spend up to like £1 or 2 to get it done. Of course, that probably would have results quicker because they're using like a stronger laser on you, and maybe like they would be more longer lasting. Something like this is of course an in-home treatment. It's not going to be as powerful or as effective as going to the clinic, but to be honest, for me that's not a massive deal. I don't mind having to do some like maintenance work. Like, I'm okay with a bit of hair every now and then and having to like remove it. It's not a big deal to me. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe you can relate to some of the stories I had. Have you ever been burnt by a hair removal cream? I would like to know. I mean, it's horrible. It's a horrible experience. So like, you know, you try and like follow the instructions for any type of hair removal treatment as much as possible, and always remember, do what's right for you. Like, you don't have to remove all your hairs. If you're like happy with it, like just go for it. It's not a big deal. If you have any comments or feedback on this video, it's my first sit down video like ever, I think, like, or not ever, but in 7 years or so, and I've tried to make it as informative as possible. Hopefully I succeeded a bit, but I know I was pretty rambly. There's a whole load of points I'm sure I'll kick myself afterwards and think like I was meant to say this, this and this, but it's a first sit down video. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll be back for more. It would mean the world to me if you could subscribe, and yeah, thank you very much for watching. Bye.